Past legacies.
In 1453, the Ottoman Empire breached the walls of Constantinople. This single military defeat effectively severed the land routes that had linked Europe to the Silk Road for centuries. The supply of Asian spices and silk stopped overnight. For European powers, the loss wasn't just a matter of luxury, it was a total economic blockade. Portugal had already moved to secure the only known alternative. As seen in this detailed map of the coastline, the Portuguese had spent decades mapping the African route, effectively monopolizing the way south. Spain was left with no established route and a treasury drained by war. To survive, they needed a path that didn't exist on any map. This desperation created a unique opening. By 1492, the Spanish monarchs were willing to listen to proposals that the rest of Europe had dismissed as a death sentence. Christopher Columbus arrived at court with a proposal to sail west to reach the east. He promised the Spanish crown a direct line to the riches of Japan and China. This plan relied on a specific, catastrophic misunderstanding of the planet's size. Columbus believed the Earth's circumference was thousands of miles smaller than it actually is. Columbus estimated the distance to Asia was only about 3,000 miles. He was off by nearly 9,000 miles. In his version of the world, America didn't exist, and the Pacific Ocean was a narrow strip of water. Flawed math and all, the project was approved. Following their victory in Granada, the monarchs signed the Capitulaciones, the physical contract that provided the ships and the authority for the mission. The expedition only left the harbor because the crown accepted these inaccurate calculations. Without that specific error, Columbus would never have secured the funding to cross the Atlantic. The 3 ships left in August 1492. This wasn't an exploration of a new world, but a descent into a geographic void. Life on board quickly became a test of endurance. The water turned green in the barrels, and the crew's anxiety spiked when the wind blew steadily west for weeks, making them wonder if they would ever have the breeze to return home. Columbus maintained control through deception. He kept 2 logs, one with the real distance traveled, and a second, shorter record he showed the crew to keep them from realizing how far they were from any known land. By October, the deception was failing. Facing a potential mutiny, Columbus promised his sailors if they didn't see land in 3 days, they would turn back. On the second night of that deadline, a lookout spotted the coast of the Bahamas.
You don't just want to know what happened, you want to understand exactly why our world is the way it is today. To help us keep uncovering these deep historical dives, please leave a like and subscribe to Past Legacies. It's not just about looking back at the past, it's about discovering the very foundations of our future. Past Legacies. Unearth the truth.
The voyage was hours away from ending in failure. Upon landing, Columbus remained convinced he was in the East Indies. He began referring to the local population as Indians, a misnomer that would stick for centuries. The Spaniards had come prepared for the walled cities of Asia. Instead, they met the Taino, a community that lacked iron weapons and viewed the armored Europeans with a mix of curiosity and caution. Peaceful trade involving beads and parrots lasted only until the Spanish noticed gold jewelry. The focus of the mission shifted immediately to locating the source of that gold. The results were violent. The first settlement, Fort Navidad, was established following a shipwreck, but it was destroyed by the local population after the Spanish began a campaign of theft and abuse. Columbus's administration of the islands was so chaotic that he was eventually arrested by a royal investigator and sent back to Spain in irons to face charges of tyranny. This first contact established the immediate precedent for the islands, a relationship defined by resource extraction and the collapse of indigenous diplomacy. Columbus died in 1506. He never acknowledged that he had reached a new landmass, insisting to his death that he had found a route to Asia. It fell to Amerigo Vespucci to voice the realization that changed geography. He argued the coastlines he charted were a mundus novus, a new world, separate from the East. This 1507 map by Martin Waldseemüller was the first to give that realization a physical form. It provided a new visual framework for the entire planet. Right here, the mapmaker inscribed the name America for the first time, honoring Vespucci's observation. This map also represents the start of the Columbian Exchange. Crops like potatoes and corn moved from west to east, providing a new caloric base for Europe. In the other direction, Europeans introduced wheat and horses to the Americas. This exchange included a lethal biological component. Pathogens like smallpox, to which the indigenous population had no immunity, caused a population collapse that killed millions within decades. Magellan's circumnavigation eventually proved the true scale of the Earth. The events of 1492 began the process of stitching two halves of the planet together, a biological and economic integration that remains the baseline for the modern world.